Hey, this is Sebastian from the Metal Gods Meltdown, and today I am joined by
Roger Deering from Crymwav, Los Angeles, California.
All right, man. First up, can you give us a little bit of an idea about your band and your inspirations?
Okay. Crymwav came together about 2 years ago. I had another group that had been going for about 12 years with the lead guitar player that's also in Crymwav. We were called Smash Fashion. Smash Fashion was a very kind of high energy, power pop, glammy kind of thing. More of a David Bowie T-Rex kind of glam thing, Mott the Hoople. And you know, we had done 4 albums and 3 singles, but we kind of came to a crashing halt. Our longtime drummer, Repo, who was also in a Finnish band called Smack. I don't know if you're familiar with Smack, but he had decided to move back to Finland right before COVID.
Right.
Before the COVID outbreak. And during the COVID downtime, me and Stuart had started getting together and looking through some of the older Smash Fashion songs that hadn't come out yet, just to try to keep things going. We decided to start to think about a 5th album, and we started auditioning drummers and bass players, because our bass player, Scarlett, lives in Philly. He moved to Philly, and we weren't getting anywhere. We couldn't find the right feel, but one guy came down who I'd known for years. His name was Greg Rogers. He was bored. He wanted to start playing, and his drumming style was heavier and a different style than Repo. But I ended up going to London for a little bit. My girlfriend was working on a film at Pinewood there.
Okay.
And I brought my guitar. She had a flat in Ladbroke Grove. And I started writing songs, man. I felt like I just was open, and all of a sudden I had like 6 brand new songs, and I brought them back to LA, and they were darker, they were heavier. It was a different vibe than what Smash Fashion was, and presented them to Stuart and Greg, and it just kind of took a life of its own from there. And we had a little band powwow, and it was decided, this isn't Smash Fashion. This is something different. This is something new, fresh. And we went through a couple different bass players before we finally. My old friend Bruce Braddock, who I went to high school with, and we moved here in the 80s together in a rock and roll band from Miami, Florida to Los Angeles. And here we are all these years later playing together again. And hence it was Crymwav. And I think with Crymwav, all 4 of us came out of the American hardcore punk scene of the early 80s.
Right.
We all kind of had a similar path. We got the record deals, touring, playing on and on and on to now. And it's so our influences of what started us are all very similar. And so the stuff that we started playing with Crymwav really felt like a return back to the things that excited us to play music in the first place. There's some new wave of British metal in there. There's some goth in there. There's some punk in there. Of course, the hard rock stuff that we all grew up on, UFO, Thin Lizzy, Black Sabbath, Kiss. It's all there. It's all there in the music. And I think all of us felt a total reconnection with being in a band and playing and getting in a room and playing live. And it just felt so fresh and new. And the excitement's still going on for me. I don't know about the other guys, but I still feel it. I still want to play all the time. It feels really good to be reconnected with music.
Growing old, disgracefully like me, yeah. It's got to be done, man. I mean, Los Angeles, when I was growing up, that was the place to be. I mean, you had the whiskey, you still got the whiskey, haven't you? But it's got everywhere, had everything there, didn't it? It was the place to be.
Absolutely. And, there's still stuff going on here in LA, and there's a few pockets and scenes, but it the culture of rock and roll being the predominant cultural force, especially in the nightlife. That's not the case anymore. There's younger bands that have things going on, kids in their 20s or whatever. There's little pockets, but the days of driving down Sunset Boulevard and seeing 50 people walking with guitars and clubs being packed every night, 7 nights a week. It's just a different world. It's a different scene now.
So Contagious, getting a lot of notice worldwide. How does it feel to know you're being featured and talked about thousands and thousands of miles away?
Excellent. Yeah. Contagious, when we went into the studio of March of this year and we tracked 9 songs for a full-length album. A couple of the songs I felt the tempos weren't right. And so we were waiting for another opportunity to get back in, and we were going to retrack a couple of those songs. But in the meantime, he had written 2 other songs, with Contagious being the very last of them. And we had started running through it in our rehearsal space, but it wasn't discussed to be recorded. And when I kind of kept it under my hat, because when we did get in the studio, I said, hey, let's try Contagious. And Greg, our drummer, was a bit apprehensive at first. He's like, well, we don't really, we haven't been playing it that long. And I said, well, maybe that's the magic. Maybe that's the magic. Let's give it a go. And we ran through it a couple times, and boom, there it was. So that was the last song recorded for our upcoming record. And it pretty much came out of the gate ready to go. There's not a lot of overdubbing on it. You're hearing the band. There's a few things here and there, but generally that's the song. And it's probably the least overdubbed of the album. And I said, you know what, this is fresh and it works. Let's do it. And so subsequently it became the first single off our upcoming record.
It's going to be called Chop Chop. Is that right?
That tentative title, we have a song in the set, and it's one of our, I call, epic songs. It's got a lot of time changes and changes going on in it. And it's a long song. It's about 6.5 to 7 minutes long. It's called Chop Chop, and it's really about the urgency of time. And it right now it feels appropriate in the sense of, hey guys, chop chop, let's get this record done. So but you never know. It by the time the record's completed, and it's close, we're about 75% there.
Right.
Maybe it might take a different title, but right now we're calling it Chop Chop.
Awesome. So is American Carnage going to be on this album? Well, yeah.
American Carnage is not going to be on the album. It was on the EP, which this right here, it's called 24/7. Last October, we recorded that in our rehearsal space downtown LA. Some cheap microphones. We set up a little recording system in there, mic'd up the drums and the guitars and the bass, and I sang the vocal over it, and we recorded it just like that. Minimal overdubbing. It's our raw record. We wanted people to just hear what we were like. And, I've always felt that sound quality is important, but there's a lot of records that are classic records that we all love that don't really have the greatest recording. It's about the vibe, right? It's about the vibe. And I think this thing captured our vibe, so we put it out there, and we didn't put it up on streaming. We just had it only available on our Bandcamp thing, and people are still buying it. And I'm proud of it. But the album does have 2 songs that are on this. We are redoing a song called Sense of Adventure, and there's another song called Loup Garou that is also will be on the album. So
cool. That sounds good. So what about when you do release the album? Are you planning to have like an album release party?
Yes, we are projected to have this record done and finishing out at end of March. 25. Right. And so we are going to do something here in LA, some kind of record release party. But on the other hand, we are hoping to be in the UK around March.
Okay.
There's talks right now of us doing a few shows in March there. So,
that's cool.
Of course, I will keep everybody posted because I'd love to see everybody. But they would be London shows, I believe. There's talk of a showcase show with like 3 shows built around it.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that does happen. If it doesn't, then we'll move forward with our plans here to have a show and a record release party, here in LA.
Brilliant. So have you actually played at the Whiskey a Go-Go in your life, in your career?
Yeah, I've played the Whiskey a number of times in my life.
Yeah.
Crymwav played there. We did a show about 3 months ago there.
I've always wanted to go. Always.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's the Whiskey. I mean, the mojo. It's funny, with a lot of jaded LA rockers and musicians, they go, the Whiskey. It's like, no. The Whiskey is one of the most famous rock and roll clubs of all time.
Of course.
And everybody has played there. The Stooges, Black Sabbath, Alice Cooper, Led Zeppelin, The Doors, the greats. Yeah. I back in the 90s, I had a band and we were managed by this gentleman named Todd Singerman, who was Motorhead's management. So we were under Motorhead's management, and it was Lemmy's 50th birthday party at the Whiskey. I was on the guest list. I was right there. They had Metallica come out as, I think they were called the Lemmys, and they all had like a fake mole stuck on their face, and they had long black wigs, and they kicked off in the bomber. Dead Men Tell No Tales off Bomber. And, that's the kind of shit that happens at the Whiskey.
Yeah, man.
The Whiskey is legendary. So, and you can feel it when you're playing there. You can really feel the mojo in there, if you open yourself up to it. And they love us, man. We plan on being frequent visitors and players at the Whiskey. Believe me, we're looking to get back in there. They were trying to find a good show for us. So we're hoping that early next year we're on a bill there at the Whiskey, because I love it there. I love the Whiskey.
It sounds amazing. But that's sort of like my next question then. Obviously, we used to frequent Rainbow Bar and Grill. Did you ever go in there? Did you actually?
Of course, I don't hang out there all the time or as much as I used to, but last year I had my birthday in there, my girlfriend, some friends, and if I'm going to a show at the Whiskey, I always make arrangements to meet up with people at the Rainbow, to hang out, before we head over there. But yeah, I mean, thank God that's still there, the Rainbow and the Whiskey, because that's the bedrock of Los Angeles rock and roll music. Those places. The Whiskey's been there since the 60s.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when I first came to LA, there was still a lot of clubs that were still open from the 60s. Legendary clubs, but eventually they all closed down and they get bought out by some big corporate, company that's now going to turn that legendary spot into a fucking condo or something, right? So that's what's happening. So thank God that the Whiskey's still there.
Absolutely. But did you ever manage to talk to Lemmy at Rainbow?
About Lemmy?
Did you manage to talk to him?
Oh yeah, man. I was friends with Lem, and I had many a talk with him, and many private moments of just discussing music. I was a bass player back then. I played a white Rickenbacker.
All right.
As a teenager, I had a Bullet belt. He was my hero.
Yeah.
And so, getting to be in his orbit, in his presence, was a dream come true for me at that time. This was around the time that Motorhead did the Bastards album. So it was in the early 90s, and they were a 3-piece already, with Mickey on drums and Phil Campbell on guitar. And we did a lot of shows with them, and, opening for Motorhead. And in one of my favorite Lemmy's stories is that there's a thing here every year called the NAMM convention. It's basically, all the industry people for instrumentation all get together, show off their new brand of keyboards, drums, guitars, etc. And so the management had hooked us up to go, and a van came with Rob Jones, who was our personal manager and handled all the Lemmy stuff. And we all got picked up in a van with Lem in the van, and we drove out to Anaheim, south of LA, for the convention. And it's me and my other guy in my band named Jeff Mundell, and the drummer Kerry Furlong, Rob Jones, and Lemmy. And we get to the convention, and they issue you a badge, a laminate.
Yeah.
And so I got mine, and it said Roger Deering, and the band I was in was called Rattlebone. And Lemmy got his, and then Lemmy said, tell you what, he goes, you take mine and I'm going to take yours. And he gave me his laminate.
Right.
He said, Lemmy Kilmeister on it. And he had mine. And we walked around the place. Lemmy introduced us to John Entwistle. He knew everybody.
Yeah.
Lemmy knew everybody, man. He knew everybody, and everybody respected him. And, just hanging out and drinking with him and John Entwistle, and amazing. What I mean? Is fucking, now that he's gone, the legend is even bigger, but just knowing him then, and I also know that Motorhead struggled for many years before they were accepted into the metal mainstream. They were considered too raunchy and punk. You remember, they were fucking Motorhead.
Yeah.
And then years later, that laminate, not years later, but maybe about a year later, that laminate, I had told this guy that we were making a record with this producer, Dave Jordan. And Dave was super hot. He had just done Alice in Chains, Social Distortion, Jane's Addiction. He had an incredible resume. And he was producing my band, that band Rattlebone. And I said to Dave, start talking about Motorhead. And I said, well, I have a Lemmy's laminate from NAMM.
Wow.
He begged me for that thing. and I ended up giving it to him. Now I wish I still had the damn thing, but I gave it to him, and hopefully he still cherishes that laminate. I haven't seen him in years, but hopefully still has it. But Lemmy was amazing.
So going back to Crymwav, are there plans to do any more videos or anything before the album release?
Yeah, videos. We have a guy that's been working. He worked with Smash Fashion for years. He's a friend of mine. He's a camera guy. And so he, right after the Contagious single came out, a friend of mine has a studio downtown here, and it's called Den Studios. And I said, we're looking for a potential place for a record release party. And he said, well, come on down. Went down and looked, and he had a killer location. And I said, wow. I said, I'd love to do a video in here if I could someday. And he said, well, he goes, if you can get in here this coming weekend, I'll give you the spot. And I went, that's doing a video. The location is like 50% of the challenge.
Yeah.
So now I've got the location, and it's offered. The space is offered to me. I rallied up the troops, and lo and behold, we pulled off a video for Contagious. So we're trying to find a cool spot to premiere it. I think at the end of this week, I think it's going to premiere somewhere, we're hoping. Oh. And we managed to pull off a video with the single. Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to have the time, or we're going to have the opportunity to get another one out before the album release. That was a lucky shot with this one. But if we can, I'd like to do a video for the next single. We do plan on releasing one more single before the album comes out.
Right. Okay.
And apparently this is what people are doing now when they release a record. The whole digital world and streaming, it's still a big mystery for cats like me. I'm doing my best to hang in there to make it let's make this band doing the proper things as we should.
Yeah.
But it's a different, like everything else, man. You adapt or die. So we're doing it as what the model is supposed to be. Apparently. Yeah. My 6 favorite albums of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh, it varies a lot, but there's some that always stay up there because not all my tastes are heavy.
No.
And I reach from a lot of different pools in my song. I love it, man. Yeah, I'm a cat guy. I love it. But I would say that Motorhead Overkill is up there. I would say Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges is up there. I would say Alice Cooper Killer is up there. Gosh, I would probably say the Damned Black Album. The Damned Black Album. And I'm keeping most of this stuff in the hard rock territory right now. I would say Jailbreak, Thin Lizzy.
Oh, yes. Classic. Yeah.
Fuck,
absolutely.
man. That album is so incredibly great from the heavy. I mean, you can hear the where Iron Maiden got a lot of their stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Songs like Massacre and Emerald, heavy as fuck.
Yeah.
But then the Van Morrison-y kind of songs too, like Angel from the Coast or Running Back. Phil Lynot's one of my idols. He's a songwriter extraordinaire, bass player extraordinaire. People always go, no one talks about how good his bass playing is. Bass playing's fucking great. Yeah. And just the swagger, the rock and roll swagger that man had. Insane. So was that 6? I think so.
One more.
Oh, one more? One more. I would say Led Zeppelin, Physical Graffiti.
Yeah, that's fantastic as well.
It's another album with just like heavy as shit stuff, but they show you the shades of the band. It's not all one thing. Fabulous stuff. Loved it.
And with Crymwav, we head out on tour. If you could choose an ultimate band to go out on tour with, who would it be?
Gosh, I always really wanted us to, I was always secretly hoping that UFO was still going to be in operation, but Phil Mogg called it a day. Yeah. Because I think that like a UFO crowd would really, really dig Crymwav. There's a lot of guitar stuff happening in the band that, I think fans of UFO or even Thin Lizzy would dig it because Stewart's guitar playing, he's a badass. Mm-hmm. He's a badass. Yeah. And there's a lot of cool interplay between Stewart's fluid Michael Schenker style guitar playing and my punky rhythm style, and it creates the Crymwav sound. So the Damned, yeah, I'd love to open for the Damned. That would be ideal. I'd love to see that happen. So those two kind of bands for sure.
If there was a made up song about you, your personality, what would it be called?
Probably like a crazy, mixed up, fucked up kind of guy. Something like that. I got a lot of energy. I got passion, but I tend to get ahead of myself a lot. So I know I can get on my bandmates' nerves or whatever, but it is what it is. So something like that, Yeah.
Okay. So as it's coming up to Christmas, is there a Christmas song that you would like to cover?
I've always, as a songwriter and musician, I've always wanted to try to get the bands I was in at that time. Hey, let's do a Christmas song. Hasn't happened yet, but I do, when Christmas time comes along, I do like to listen to the Phil Spector Does Christmas or Elvis. Right. You know what I mean? While I'm around the house, I like that stuff, man. I'm a big fan of this time of the season. Halloween's my favorite time of the year. Yeah. And then that just starts the ball rolling all the way till the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then 2025, you know, it's like, you know, here we go.
Which 6 countries would you love to tour?
Okay. This is awesome. UK. I love the UK. I have a spiritual connection there. I lived there when I was a kid in London. And I was born in Europe. I was born in Holland.
Okay.
So I have a deep love for the UK and Europe, of course. But the UK, Japan, Australia, because they really like the fucking rock and roll down there. Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil. Scandinavia. I know it's not a country, but the 3 countries.
Yeah.
Or 4. And Germany, because I've heard Germany is a hot spot for heavy metal and hard rock.
Yeah, it is.
So, you know, I'm hoping to get things rolling to the point where we can at least start to get over there a couple times a year and you know, run through Europe playing the clubs. You know, I'm ready to do it. We'll see if everything can line up. You know,
that'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So next question then is, can you tell us why we should listen to Prime Wave?
Well, I would just say that if you're seeking something slightly off the beaten path, but still heavy in rock and roll, because there is a rock and roll element to the band, and I think our hard rock leanings are really rooted into that UFO, Thin Lizzy, you know, and like I said, with some of the new wave of British metal, Stewart guitar work on there, and then, you know, but it's darker, so it has a goth element too. So I don't know if you were just kind of looking for something along, you know, heavy but not overkill. This might be your thing. You know, it's very song oriented.
So do you prefer festivals or small intimate gigs?
Well, geez, I've played a few outdoor festivals here, you know, of course, but I like smaller gigs as a performer, and I like smaller gigs as being in the audience too. I'd rather go see a band in a club or a smaller venue than a big outdoor thing. You know, it's just more intimate. Sounds
Absolutely.
Usually better. You know, everything. It's just a better experience for me anyway.
Absolutely. You prefer pizza or beer?
Pizza gets me in less trouble.
True. Yeah, same, man. Do you prefer vinyl or digital?
Well, I love them both, man. I have a turntable and I have records, but I finally had to come to the realization and confession that CDs just sound fucking incredible. If you have a really good CD player that's reading that CD at a high bit rate or whatever, the quality, and you got nice speakers, the quality of what the CD is putting through the speakers, it just sonically beats the vinyl. But the vinyl is special too. It has that warm, fuzzy, intimate feel to it. So, you know, I like them both.
Brilliant. Are you a saint or a sinner?
I'm a sinner that has been seeking, not for sainthood, but seeking inner peace through not being a sinner. Told you I'm complicated.
All right. So do you prefer Cuban Heels or Dr. Martens?
That's funny you should ask, because I definitely, my entire rock and roll, that's not true. Early on, no, but I was the Cuban heel guy for a long time. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, my little handle on, I think it's on Instagram, is wooden shoes, Cuban heels.
Yeah,
right.
That's why I've asked
it. However, now I don't. That's not part of my wardrobe. I've retired those shoes, you know, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
And I have gone back to just wearing boots and sneakers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny question.
Yeah. So the final one then, do you prefer Donald Trump, Joe Biden, or Kermit the Frog?
Well, I would say that at this point, Kermit, and it's not because I am apathetic towards American politics. I'm definitely not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a Trump guy. I think he's kind of a fucking monster, but I don't. It's not something that I want to be pushing out in front of everybody and making a big statement about it. It's like, if that's your guy, fine. Ain't nothing I can do about to change anybody's ideas on how they want to lean. That's all good. I think my goal right now in my life is to just keep making really great music and make that the primary source of my energy, as opposed to getting sucked up into, the chaos, because it is chaos. So
yeah, man, absolutely. Well, I think Kermit the Frog wins every time because he's green. Yeah. All right, man. I want to thank you so much for your time, and hopefully we'll get to review your album before it comes out. That'd be amazing.
Thank you, sir. I definitely let you know what's happening progress wise, and I saw that we've exchanged on Twitter, I think, and we're connected on Facebook, and
man,
I'll seek you out, and thank you for having me. I'm quite honored, man. Thank you very much. Man.
I'm honored as well to speak to someone that used to be mates with Lemmy. That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you have any?
Man, I got a lot of those kind of stories that someday we'll have another conversation about.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So, do you have any final words for your fans, our viewers, and listeners?
No, just let me say, hey, if you are into what's happening here with this band Crymwav, we'd love to see you at Instagram. We'd love to see you at Facebook. The social media thing is such a big thing now. Mm-hmm. It's just what it is. And it's, if promoters and this and that, they're looking at your stuff. They want to see this engagement. They want to see activity. So join us over there. We'd love to see you there, man. And, we'll do our best to deliver the goods.